Bullying? What drives a person to commit bullying? Is it the feeling of power and grandeur? Is it the pleasure of seeing another person agonizing, or something more? In some cases, everything is resolved with adult intervention. And in other cases, like this, the adults who should be the refuge and hope for the victims actually turn a blind eye to such cruelty. What does the victim feel? Anger? Resentment? The urge to retaliate? Hatred? Of course. Above all, initially, they feel fear. But what happens when the victim turns their fear into hatred and a thirst for vengeance? This guy who fell off the roof is our protagonist. It's been 3 months since the fall, and he hasn't shown any improvements. He was in a vegetative coma. The doctors said it would be best to turn off the machines, as no one has ever woken up from a vegetative coma. But his grandmother says she'll never do that, she'll never give up on him, and she'll pay and maintain the costs for as long as necessary. He was a beloved person. His brother visits him and cries every time, begging him to wake up. But the worst part is that he hears everything. He hears everything they say, but he can't respond. It's hurting him more than the injuries themselves. He tries to comfort himself by saying it's just a dream. If he can endure a little longer, he'll wake up from this nightmare. But 3 years have passed, and he still hasn't woken up. It's been 3 years and his consciousness is still alive, but his body is dead. 2 women who were talking there say that the boy's grandmother didn't come today because she passed out, and our protagonist was listening, and the only thing he thought was, this isn't fair. If by some miracle he could go back in time, he wouldn't destroy them all. He imagined in his mind all the forms of torture, him beating and getting revenge on all of them. The only thing he wanted was revenge, to destroy them with his own hands. So, at that moment, he makes a decision. As long as he's still alive, he will plan in his head all possible forms of revenge. He will make everyone suffer before his death. And so, 7 years have passed. During this time, every day, every moment, he calculated, projected all the strategies in his mind until he found the perfect plan. But 10 years have passed. Thinking about it, anyone else would have woken up by now. This reality for our protagonist is nothing more than fantasy. At this moment, he realizes that his revenge will never happen. His anger and his hatred kept him thinking about revenge for 7 years. But now, he just wants to die. It's already morning. The same TV sound as always, the same blackboard. What? Blackboard? Like a good story, our protagonist wakes up at school. It seems he's gone back in time. Not even our protagonist understands what's going on. In fact, he thinks it's just another one of his dreams. So, he grabs the pen and stabs his leg. Then he realizes it's not a dream. He really went back in time. Until a guy starts screaming, everyone looks, and he's beating up a student. He stomps on him like he's a piece of crap. Until our protagonist remembers this situation is the starting point of all his suffering. It's where it all began. This blonde guy is Park Myung-ju, one of the guys who threw him off the roof. In the previous life, our protagonist tried to defend this guy who was getting beaten up. He intervened, but in that proper peace and love way, so he became a target for this guy and his friends. But this time, he just comes in with a right hook on Park. Finally, the moment he's been longing for. 7 years of planning and projecting revenge in his head, until finally, the moment has arrived. Boy, what excitement. This work is really good. The story shifts to flashbacks of the past. Hold on tight, we'll soon be back to the brawl. Let me summarize quickly. Park Min-chul is a delinquent, used to make this chubby guy his gaming slave. One day, the chubby guy didn't want to play, so he got beaten up. Then our protagonist stepped in to defend him, but in that peace and love model, the teacher arrived and he thought everything was resolving. But Park's friends, including him, started beating up the protagonist day after day until the moment of the building's collapse. Well, summed up. And you understood how this situation came about, right? Now it's time for the brawl, my friends. Park, upon taking that punch to the face, even disbelieving, right? "I'm gonna kill you, you son of a bitch." All this situation, this moment, all of it was projected in the head of our protagonist. Park has a fighting style that depends solely on his physique. He's not used to being hit, so he collapses if he doesn't land the first blow. Our protagonist simulated this scenario infinitely over the past 10 years, and even this next move. Everything was calculated. Our protagonist is badass, and you're tough too because you left a like and subscribed. Park's friends are disbelieving at what they see. This is Young Minyo. He's doubtful about why the protagonist is doing this, because everyone knows his friends will intervene if anyone messes with Park, and he doesn't seem worried about it at all until one of them takes the initiative to help Park. Look at the size of this guy. He looks like a wardrobe. This is Kang Chang-suk. He's the strongest of all in Park's gang, but look at the face of our protagonist, who is worried. He just wants blood, man. But then a girl shouts that the teacher is coming, so Park himself tells Chang-suk that they'll finish this later. The guy even threatens our protagonist, saying that after class, he'll come after him. Little does he know that our protagonist is in berserk mode.
Ixi, só de ouvir falar, dá até arrepio, cê é louco.
So as the class began, everything calmed down for now. Everyone's studying, and Park is wondering, what the hell just happened? Was this guy so strong? Then Park plans to go after the protagonist as soon as the bell rings. And the bell rings. But before Park gets up from the chair, the protagonist already comes in with a flying kick. Damn, the protagonist came in with a flying kick. Wow, what joy, this story is too good. Park didn't even fall to the ground. Our protagonist already grabs his hair and says, "Shall we continue from where we left off?" Park is scared because the guy in front of him, he's crazy. What a delightful beating. That's all for today, folks, but it's because this story doesn't have many chapters, so to enjoy together, I'll bring it to you every 2 chapters.